Hello and welcome to our next class. I hope everyone is well and in good spirits. So beginning on our backs in a relaxation position. As always, beginning with a tense and release routine, as we have done the last couple of classes. It's a wonderful way just to start to give the body the signals it needs to just begin to relax a little bit. So we're going to begin with the face. So first of all, tensing all the muscles of the face, including the forehead, tensing the cheeks, tensing the mouth, tensing the upper neck. Keep tensing, and then with full awareness, slowly begin to release, just noticing the relaxation that comes into the face. And then with your breath, gently rolling the head from side to side, with your awareness focused on the muscles tightening and releasing as your head rolls gently from side to side. One ear easing down towards the floor, center, and then the other one. Just noticing the tightening and the releasing. And back to the center. And then tighten the shoulders, pull them upwards towards your ears and then forwards towards the ceiling. And then again, with full awareness, slowly begin to allow the shoulders to move back and down and release. And then the right arm, without lifting the right arm off the floor, slowly begin to bring tension from the shoulder down through the elbow, down through the wrist, and tension down through the fingers. Without making a fist, but make it tension. Allow your attention to be deep inside the arm, not just on the surface. Make that tension as deep as you can. And then with full awareness, gently release the right arm. And then the same thing with the left arm. Tensing from the shoulder, down through the elbow, through the wrist, through the hand, through the fingers. Again, allow your attention to be deep inside the arm. Take it down beyond the surface. And then slowly, with attention, gently release. Now, as we did in the last class, just running lines of energy. So from the center of the chest, lifting both arms just off the floor. And imagine those lines flowing out through the shoulders, down through the elbows, down through the wrists, down through the hands and into the fingers. But this is not tension, this is just definition. Take your attention as far beyond your fingers as you can. This should feel very different from tensing. There's an aliveness in the arms here. They're not relaxed, but nor are they tense. And then gently release. Now gently tense the muscles of the chest and the abdomen while continuing to breathe, so you're not holding your breath as you tense the muscles of the chest and the abdomen in whatever way you can. And release the muscles of the chest and the abdomen. Now bring your awareness to your right hip and keeping the right leg on the floor. Begin to bring tension into the right hip and the buttock. And release. And then switch to the other side, the left hip and the left buttock, slowly bringing tension into the left hip, the left buttock. Keeping the right buttock relaxed. And release. Now back to the right leg, keeping the right leg on the floor still. Bring the tension into the right hip, the right buttock, and spread that tension down through the thigh, down through the calf, down through the feet and toes. In the same way as you did with the arm, allow the attention to be deep inside the leg, not just on the surface. Bring as much tension into the leg and the foot as you can and the hip. And then gently noticing, aware as you release. And then change the left side, tensing the left hip, the left buttock. Move that tension down deep into the left thigh, the left calf, the left foot, the toes of the left foot. And then gently release. And now begin to run energy down through the legs, lines through the legs. So lifting both legs off the floor, imagine a line beginning from just below the abdomen. That line moves down through the hips, down through the knees, down through the calves, down through the feet and the toes. Again, the legs just off the floor, notice the difference between that and tension. Notice the aliveness in the legs, somewhere between tension and relaxation. Now release if you need to, enough to be able to rotate your ankles. And loosen up the toes. And then drop the legs down. And from here, just moving from your hips, begin to roll your legs outwards. So the feet turn outwards and inwards. So make that movement start from your hips as you roll the legs outwards and inwards. And as you do this, find the most relaxed position for the feet, allowing the feet now to just relax out to the side at just the right degree of rolledness for you. And then the same thing, rotating the arms and the shoulders to find just the right position for the arms. And then allow your shoulders to soften and fall into the floor. Your fingers are relaxed and slightly curled, making sure the teeth aren't clenched, making sure the lips aren't pressed together so they're separated slightly. Make sure the tongue is relaxed, maybe resting gently on the roof of the mouth behind the top teeth, or any other position which is comfortable for the tongue. Move your attention to your forehead. Notice any tension in the forehead. Relax and smooth the tension out. Allow the eyebrows to settle into a relaxed position as the eyes are closed. So one of asanas, many meanings, the word asana, the word for yoga posture, one of its many meanings is home. So finding your home in this position, as you do in all the positions we will do today, whether they are familiar or not. And begin to pay attention to your breath. That tool that's always available for you anytime and anywhere. Just paying attention to your breath, just watching yourself breathing. Allowing the breath to flow in freely and out freely, finding its own natural tempo. Then slowly, in tune with your breath, slowly bend the legs if the legs were straight, and bring the soles of the feet onto the floor with the knees up, feet about hip distance apart, and the knees rolling in slightly. And take the arms out, level with your shoulders, with the palms facing up. Or if you don't have enough space around you, you can just place the hands on your tummy. And from here begin to gently twist. So let the knees drop to the left as the head turns gently to the right. And back to the center, let the legs drop. The knees drop the other way as the head moves the other way. And just do those a few times with your breath. Allowing the spine to become a little bit looser. And allow the blood to start moving a little bit more through the back. And the last time back to the center. And then gather your knees one by one into the chest. And cross your ankles, separate the knees, rest the hands on the knees, rock side to side, round and round. Just begin to warm the back up a little bit. And then uncross the ankles and bring the feet together and the knees together, the knees to into the chest. And leave the left hand on the left knee. And the next time you inhale, float the right arm up over the head and at the same time stretch your right leg out in front of you and along the floor. So the back of the right hand and the back of the right thigh. The right heel should touch the floor. And as you exhale, circle the arm back around and bring the right knee into the chest. And changing, holding the right knee with your right hand, inhale, floating the left arm up over the head, straightening the left leg along the floor. And exhale, circle the hand back. And bring the left knee back to the chest. And repeat that movement from side to side with your breath, inhaling as you straighten right leg, right arm. Exhaling as you draw back. At the same time, your other hand can draw your knee into the chest. As the arm comes up over the head, keep the elbow close into the body. And you can keep the arm in that same movement going straight down the middle if you prefer and you don't have room to the side to circle the hand back around. Slow, deliberate movements. And make the next time you straighten your left leg and your left arm. The last one. Finishing again with both knees into the chest. And now double leg raises. So, with both knees into the chest, begin with the hands on the knees. And as you inhale, allow both arms to float up over the head. At the same time, straighten both legs to the ceiling, gently extending out through the heels. That's your inhale. As you exhale, bring the knees back to the chest. Bring the arms back over the head. Press into your lower back. Lift the head off the floor and curl yourself into a ball, drawing the head down towards the knees. As you inhale, take the arms over the head again. Bring the back onto the floor and the head onto the floor as you straighten the legs to the ceiling, extending through the heels. Exhale. Float the arms back down. Hold the knees and curl into a ball. And repeat that a few times with the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale, floating the arms up over the head as the legs straighten towards the ceiling. Exhale, pressing into your lower back, floating the arms back around, hugging your knees into the chest, expelling all the air there on the exhalation. Pausing as long as is comfortable for you before you begin the inhale and lowering the body back onto the floor and the head onto the floor as the arms come over the head. And make the next one the last one, but leave the legs up in the air. And you can either leave the arms over the head if that's comfortable for you, or you can bring the arms down alongside the hips with the palms facing down. So just going to decompress the feet a little bit more here. So as you exhale, curl your toes towards the soles of your feet and squeeze your toes together. And as you inhale, release and stretch the toes as far apart as they will go. So exhale, curling your toes towards the soles of your feet, so you're surrounding your feet, stretching across the top of the foot. And as you inhale, release and stretch the toes as wide apart. Just repeating that a few times. This is a great way to decompress feet that are so often in shoes, and also prepares us for the rooting feet and being able to ground in standing positions, especially notable imbalances. So you're really strengthening your toes here for gripping the floor. And the last time. And still leaving the legs up in the air, if you're still comfortable there. And begin to circle, so with the legs together, but just begin to circle your ankles. So imagine your big toes are making circles. And you're lubricating the ankle joints. Again, helping tired feet if they are tired. And again, this helps us balance in standing postures. We're going to spend quite a long time in tree today, looking at lines of energy, a little bit more about that. As I said in the last class, I'm going to look at that in tree later on. And then release. And bend the knees back to the chest. And then find your way to a seated position. And from here, a seated eye of the needle pose. It's like a seated down version of pigeon, similar to pigeon. It's one that we often do with our knees into the chest, but we're going to do it seated this time, which is a little bit more tricky. You can also do this posture against the wall, if you have a wall there, getting the buttocks as close to the wall as you can. I'll go through the seated version first. In the seated version, bending both knees, bring the soles of the feet onto the floor, and bring the hands behind you, rest back into the hands. You can have the palms facing forward if possible. And that's the best way to do this pose. Then you're going to bring the right knee to the chest and bring the outside of the right foot onto your left thigh. So you'll recognize this from a position we often do lying down. You might have to have the left foot quite a long way away from you, the sole of that left foot, in order to get into that position. Flex your right foot, so extend out through the heel to protect your knee and to increase the stretch. The closer you walk your left foot towards your buttock, the stronger that position will be. in the same way when we do this lying down, the higher you lift that left foot against the knee, the stronger it will be. But here you walk that left foot as far towards the left buttock as is comfortable to increase that stretch. If you're against the wall, you're in the same position with the sole of the foot flat on the floor, the left knee bent, and the outside the right foot on the left thigh, and the arms alongside the body supporting you. And then so try to make the spine as long and straight as you can in this position. How straight you can get will depend on your flexibility, but get the right balance between how close the left foot is to your left thigh, your left buttock, and also how straight your spine can be. Then just very gently rock side to side. Very gently, just a little movement. Just bringing the tension into that right hip, when you're feeling it in the same kind of area that you do when you do pigeon or the in swan position. And then come to a stationary position, squeeze the shoulders back. Release your right hip as much as you can, loosen it as much as you can. Imagine you're breathing in a nice visualization. Imagine you're breathing in a smiling golden light into that right hip. This can be quite a strong position, especially depending on where your left foot is. Just a couple more breaths. And then gently release. Allow the left foot to slide further away from you so you can comfortably bring your right foot off your left thigh. And then when you're ready, doing the same thing the other side, bringing the outside of the left foot onto your right thigh. This time walking the closer you walk the right heel, the right foot to the right buttock, the stronger this position will be. The further away, the gentler it will be. Find just the right position, the right degree of strength for this stretch for you. And as you did the other time, just very gently rock from side to side. Just explore how that changes the sensation as you gently rock. And then when you're ready, find a stationary position and breathe. Releasing and feeling the hip loosening and opening and relaxed. And again, that same visualization, if you want to imagine, as a smiling golden light penetrating deep into the left buttock. Just a couple more breaths. And then release. And straighten the legs out in front of you. Feel that will be nice. And then come on to all fours, bringing a blanket under the knees if you need to. And come into a tabletop position. And stacking the bones here, so your hips directly above your knees. Feet about, knees about hip distance apart. And the hands, the shoulders above the elbows stacked above the wrists, the fingers spread, the middle fingers pointing forward. And from here just a few down and up cats. As you exhale, drawing the tummy in, drawing the chin down and rounding the back. And as you inhale, gently arching the back up. And just begin to feel the breath moving with the movement and feel the breath moving through the movement. So you feel you're leveling, evening, smoothing out the breath with the movement. As always, you're moving slowly but purposefully. And the last time down, and the last time. Gently stretching the spine the other way. And then if you haven't already, tuck the toes of the back foot under. So you begin to get a little stretch to your toes here as well. Another useful movement for tight feet, same as the movements we were doing earlier. So if possible, and stretching out the wrists, turn your hands to face towards you rather than away from you. If that's a bit difficult for your wrists, then have the hands out, pointing out to the sides. So the hands either rotated inwards and towards you, or rotated outwards and palms the hands away. And from here, just begin to start to explore. You might not have done this position before, some of you, so just begin to explore in this position, going forwards and back, the same as we did in other classes with cats. Just exploring the different shapes that you can come into from this position as the body moves forward and back and to the side and round, just concentrating on what feels good for you. Where do you need to pay attention to for your body? Where is the looseness? Where is the tightness that you can maybe begin to gently release? You might be going side to side, you might be going in one direction then the other. You're just finding positions which begin to release the wrists a little bit. Laterally stretching, so gently opening up the side body, the spine. And as you did before, although these are not so symmetrical, feel the breath moving naturally through the shapes that you're drawing with your body. And then slowly coming back to a tabletop position. And changing the position of the feet so your tops of your feet are on the floor again. Then to a long child position, so taking the bottom back towards the heels. Remember, you can always separate the knees if you feel more comfortable. And take the hands out in front of you on your fingertips. So bottom moving back towards your heels and fingers reaching forward. And from here, begin to gently walk the hands across to the right. And again, you're just intuitively exploring that movement. You might just go a little way, get accustomed to that, see how that feels. Is that far enough? Going a little bit further, just slowly walking your hands across to the right, keeping a long position, keeping the buttocks both equally weighted back towards the heels. And then maybe here you might want to bring the palms of the hands on the floor and sink the chest down, if that feels nice. But we're still kind of moving, so coming back onto the fingertips, you're going to walk the hands very slowly, with no hurry, back to the center. Find a position that feels symmetrical again, and then begin to, when you're ready, walk the hands across to the left side. Most of your awareness will probably be directed towards the lateral stretch here on the side body as you explore across to the left. Is it the same as the right? Is it a little bit different? Can you perceive any differences as you walk the hands this way? And as you did before, maybe you might want to sink the chest down at one point. And then slowly walking back to the center. And then from here, in a long child position, come into a bent leg version of downward dog. So tucking the toes under, keeping the knees bent. Lots of bend in the knees to get lots of length in your spine as you slowly ease back towards downward dog, keeping up on your tiptoes. So if you can, try to avoid inserting your internal photograph of what this pose looks like in your mind, because you've done it many times before. Instead, try and have no preconceptions. Try and get rid of any memories of what this pose is or feels like, and try to approach it afresh. Noticing with the knees bent, as you're probably kind of playing around here, this makes it easier to push your hips back, and it makes it easier to tilt the tailbone up towards the ceiling, and it isolates the shoulders more, and it isolates the spine. But you're not required to use an enormous amount of upper body strength to hold you here. And then as the legs begin to warm up, begin to make a wave-like movement as you bend the knees, lifting the tailbone up. And as you exhale, gently straightening the legs and easing the heels down towards the floor. Again, come onto the tiptoes, bend the knees, tilt the pelvis up. And exhale, begin to straighten the legs and draw the heels down towards the floor. And repeat that a few more times. Just enjoying that wave-like movement of the spine, a little bit like the cats that you did before. You're doing different tilts to the pelvis, the same as you were doing. Down, tilting the pelvis down, and tilting the pelvis up, the same as you did in child's pose, in cat poses. And then come to your first version of downward facing dog. That might be a bent leg version, it might be a straighter version. It's your version. And then begin to walk your hands back towards you, bit by bit. And here you might need to bend your knees or make any other accommodations to allow you to walk your hands back towards you. And eventually you'll come to a head to knee position. And just very gently dangle there, holding your elbows. Right hand holds left, left hand holds right. Feet nice and comfortably apart. The width the feet are apart is entirely of your choosing. Find a position where you can begin to allow the lower back to open up a little bit, stretch a little bit. And then from here, you're going to walk the hands along the floor into plank. And then you're going to walk the hands back into standing forward bend. And doing that a few times, walking your hands along the floor until you come into a plank position. And then walking your hands back until you come to a head to knee position. And just doing that a few times again, constantly just warming up the legs and bringing a little bit of heat into the body, maybe for the first time. And the last time, staying in head to knee pose. And press into the feet. Keep the chin down, slowly coming up to mountain pose. Allow the arms to float out to the side, up over the head. Allow the head finally to come up and look up at the hands. And exhale. Float the arms back down to the side. And a couple of rounds of floppy sun salutations. So, from here, at the front of the mat, nice comfortable position, bend in the knees. And on your next exhale, float the hands together into prayer. Inhale, float the arms up over the head. Exhale, bend the knees, huff the breath out, down to the floor. Hands either side of the feet. And just relax here for a moment. Maybe hold the elbows. Loosen a little bit more through the lower back. Then hands on the floor and step the right leg back to plank, right knee on the floor. Toes of the back foot can be tucked under, or top of the back foot can be on the floor. And then begin to gently rock forwards and back, loosening up first one hip and then the other as you move forwards and back. Then hands flat and left leg back to plank. Find a strong position here, draw the tummy up, lengthen out through the crown of the head, extend through the heels, exhale, knees, chest and chin to the floor, or knees, thighs, tummy and chest to the floor. Then lift the bottom, bring that little bend into the arch if you didn't come down with your chest. And then separate the feet and inhaling up into cobra. And then exhaling back. Easing back to a long child pose, keeping the hands where they were before. And forward onto all fours, toes tucked under, and ease up into downward dog. And just walk the dog a couple of times, bend one leg and then the other. Lift one hand then the other. Let the head hang. And then drop the knees to the floor, or just the left knee, and step the right foot forward. Come into a lunge, left knee on the floor, and as you did the other side, gently rocking backwards and forwards in this position. And the next time you come back, launch yourself gently forward, and left leg next to right, and hang here for a moment. Dangle down, holding the elbows if you want to. The weight, as always, pour down through the torso, down through the head, down through the crown of the head towards the floor. Then on your next inhale, press into the feet, keep the knees bent, coming up, arms over the head. And then let the arms flop to the side. And the other side, exhale, bring the palms and the hands together, inhale, reach up, stretching up to the ceiling. And exhale, bend the knees and flop down to the floor. Hands flat on the floor, and step the left leg back. Gently rocking forwards and back, straightening the front leg. So bending the front leg more as the back leg straightens. And then right leg back into plank. And exhaling, knees, chest, chin to the floor, or knees, thighs, tummy, chest to the floor. If you did the last version, then lift the buttocks up. And then press back into cobra. Turn the head gently to the left. Turn the head gently to the right. And then push back to child's pose, bottom to heels. Keep the hands where they are. The bottom will come as close to the heels as it comes. We're making a nice straight line between the tailbone and the tops of the hands. And then tucking the toes under and up into downward facing dog. And then either dropping both knees to the floor, or just the right knee to the floor, or if you've warmed up, already no knees to the floor, and step the left leg forward. Right knee on the floor and gently rocking forwards and backwards. And the next time you step back, gently launch yourself forward, head to knee. Press into the feet, inhaling. Your inhale, lift the arms up and then drop the arms down. And then 4 rounds in your own time. And as always, think of an integrated flow, the movements flowing, integrated. You're not, rather than thinking moving isolated body parts, which is very much how it is when you first start this. Every movement is isolated. Every body movement is isolated. But you've all done this lots of times, so it just becomes much more of an integrated flow. At the end of an inhalation, the next move begins on the exhalation. At the end of the exhalation, after maybe a slight pause, the next movement begins on an inhalation and inhalation. Your sun salutations are smooth. They're soft. You move in and out of each posture with the mind totally integrated with the body. You use the power of your breath to release, to surrender, to yield. Feeling gravity lifting you up as naturally as it pulls you down. Don't do it mechanically. Don't put that internal picture of how these postures are into your head and just follow that template. Do it as if you've never done it before. Search and find that feeling. Depending on what speed you go, you might finish before others. If you do, stay focused, close the eyes, relax the arms to the side. Give me time here for, if you're doing the left side, be the last one. Lots of time for you here to complete your sun salutations. And we're going to look at tree here. So holding the position while I talk you through the lines of energy that we make in this pose will be quite challenging. So I'll just talk you through what we're going to do first before you come into tree, and then remind you. So it's a very nice pose, one of the best poses to see how these lines work. And you can think of these as lines of energy, with all that entails. But physically what these lines do, imagining these lines, is it brings a lightness to our postures. It also, if you run these lines through your positions, it also brings all the muscles into alignment without any adjustment for most people being necessary. If you feel that line flowing, it means you're open, and therefore the muscles and the bones are aligned for you in the right way, generally. So in tree, if you visualize tree that you're going to be in a minute, you've got 3 lines of energy radiating out from your center. One will go down the supporting leg, the one you're standing on. One line will go up the spine and out through the arms, which are going to be overhead. And the other line, the third line, goes outward through the knee. So you've got 3 lines. One down through your supporting leg from your center. One from your center, or from the center of the chest, up through the shoulders, out through the arms, which are going to be over the head eventually. And the other, the third line, the most difficult one to bring into effect in tree, is from your center, out through the bent knee, which is on the inside of the thigh. So, to come into the position, first of all, stand in mountain pose and establish a nice smooth flowing breath. And then, when you're ready, shift all your weight onto your left foot. And breathe deeply here before continuing. So fix a steady, soft gaze on something not moving. And don't let your mind move. Hold that point that you focused on, that you've decided on, with your eyes and your mind, which will really help to concentrate the mind and facilitate the balance. Balances are so very often far more about the mind being balanced than the actual body. If you're calm, if you're breathing, the balance becomes easier. Notice your breath. Are you producing a nice, smooth, even sound? Now come into your balance, bringing the inside of the right foot into your left thigh. Hands at the moment can just be in prayer position or out to the side to balance you. Just getting the leg balance first. Spread, if you come out, just keep coming back in. Spread the toes, snuggle the left foot into the ground. Become grounded through that left foot. Merge with the earth. Allow the weight of the body to sink downwards into that foot. That's the foundation. That's the basis. That's the root. Be solid there. The more you allow your weight to sink into that foot, the more assured, the more confident your balance will be. Now refine the alignment. So to align your center, bend your left leg very slightly just to get a little bit more grounded, and then gently pull in your abdominal muscles, the tailbone's pointing straight down, and slowly then press the left leg straight without changing this alignment in your center. Keep the sole of your left foot soft. Root yourself to the earth. Root yourself to the ground. That's your first line of energy. When you're ready, if you want the next line of energy, you can bring the arms up over the head, palms facing. Stretching out through the fingertips. Stretching up breath by breath. This is your second line. Originating your center, so you're lifting the rib cage up away from the chest. You're elongating the waist. You're squeezing the elbows inwards a little bit towards each other. Stretching straight out and beyond the hands in the direction they're pointing. If the arms are vertical, lift the elbows above the line of the ears if you can, and then move them backwards a little bit behind the ears. Again, if you come out, just keep coming back in. Shoulder blades are gently tugging down the back, but not strongly. Your abdominal muscles are drawn in. And finally, the third line. It stretches outward into the bent knee and moves that bent knee backwards, stretching the inner side of that thigh towards the knee, and aim the right knee back. So you're trying to make the pelvis as flat as you can without turning the body to do that. And you're now, if you're still in the position, you're now stretching in 3 directions simultaneously. Downwards through that supporting leg, outwards through the bent knee, and upwards through the arms. And slowly coming down. And do exactly the same thing the other side very slowly. First in mountain pose, just standing, establishing your smooth, even breath. And now shifting, when you're ready, all your weight onto your right foot. Fixing a steady, gentle gaze on something that's not moving. Don't let your mind, your focus move. Breathe with awareness, find a nice, smooth, even sound. And now, spread the toes and snuggle your right foot into the ground. Become grounded through your right leg. Merge with the earth, with the foot. Allow the weight of the body to sink down into the right foot. Take root. Be solid. The more you can allow the weight to sink into that foot, the more assured your balance will be. And when you feel ready, bring the left foot, the sole of the left foot, onto the inside of the left thigh. So physically, the three lines here are working in harmony to flatten the pelvis in the final expression of this pose. So bend the right leg very slightly to get more grounded, then gently pull your abdominal muscles in towards the spine. And then slowly press the right leg straight without changing the alignment of your center and without locking that knee. That's your first line of energy flowing from your center down through that leg and down deep into the ground. Palms of the hands together at the moment. Option for the next line is to take the arms up over the head, stretching the arms up through the fingertips, stretching up breath by breath. Lifting your ribs away from your waist, the rib cage, the basket there away from the waist, so the waist becomes longer. You squeeze the elbows inwards towards each other a little bit, stretching straight upwards, and elbows are lifted above the line of the ears, and if it's comfortable, move them backwards a little bit behind the ears. You can get exactly the same effect with the palms of the hands together. And then finally, the third line. Stretch out into the bent knee and move it backwards if you can. Stretch the inner side of that, the supporting thigh, towards the knee and aim the knee outwards, backwards. So you feel as like even slightly a flattening of the pelvis. Stretching as you were before in three directions, simultaneously, downwards through the supporting leg, outwards through the bent knee, and upwards through the arms and the hands. And slowly release. And then find your way down to a lying position into relaxation pose. And then coming into your chosen inversion tonight. Maybe shoulder stand, maybe legs up the wall, maybe legs up into the air on a block or a bolster. 3 minutes in your inversion and then allowing 1 minute for plow before we come out. Just reminding yourself that there is nothing to achieve, there's no one to compete with. You're going to be in a position you're comfortable in, a position you can hold without straining. The head is still and centered. And for the last half of this, concentrate on your breathing. And when you finish the out breath, your exhale, just stay in that silence and stillness for a moment until the next movement begins and the inhale, the in-breath starts. And at the end of the in-breath, wait in the pause, in the stillness, in the silence of that moment, for the movement to begin with the exhalation, the out-breath. And from here, if you're still in a position, letting both legs drop down over the head, dropping down from the pit of the belly, so you're folding in half here, bringing the feet down towards the floor into plow pose. Can you find stillness, the stillness and the silence and the pause here between the inhalations and the exhalations? Can you rest in those pauses? They may be more difficult to find in this pose that demands more of the breath. And then slowly coming up to shoulder stand and finding your way down to the floor. And for the next minute or so, either just lying in Shavasana, just enjoying that home position there. Your focus, if you stay here rather than coming into fish, which is the alternative, will just be to consciously direct softness and space into the chest, the neck and the shoulders especially, that you've been making demands of in shoulder stand. And then bring the knees into the chest after coming out of fish, obviously, if you're still in fish. And after making any movements there that feel nice, come up to a seated position for your forward bend option. So padding under the pelvis, lifting it up a little bit. And then just think about, before you start, just which forward bend option you want to do today. Got the classic one, obviously, with the legs straight. If your hips like it and you like it, you can come to a wide angle forward bend with the legs as wide apart as they can be. There's a few minutes here, so you've got time to do the half version if you want, with the sole of the foot on the inside of the leg. And that straight leg can either be pointing out to the side or pointing straight ahead from you. I'll tell you when we're about halfway through. Or you can have the soles of the feet together in away from you in butterfly pose and fold in there. So 3 minutes. And if you're doing a half variation I'll tell you after a minute and a half, so you can change sides if you want to. And as you did last time with your breath, cultivate the still points at the end of the exhalation, the out-breath. Rest for a moment in that still point when you're suspended for a moment before the in-breath begins. Noticing what happens on the in-breath and the out-breath. Does the body naturally relax on your out-breath? When the body is passive, the breathing is passive. Does it tighten slightly and extend on your inhale? If you were doing half forward bend, now would be the time to change legs. Bring the sole of the other foot onto the other leg. And then slowly coming out. And then bring the hands behind you and slowly lower yourself down to relaxation pose again. And from here, finishing with a twist, so bringing the soles of the feet on the floor and the arms out level with the shoulders, palms facing up. And you can choose to have the feet as wide apart as you can if you're doing the comfortable version. The closer the feet are together and these are together, the stronger, the tighter the twist will be. The further the feet are apart, the looser the twist will be. Alternative here is that you wrap your left, to make it a little bit more intense, you wrap your left leg over your right leg. Whichever position you're in, you let the knees drop across to the right and gently turn the head to the left. And as we've done in the last two postures, can you find those quiet still points between the out breath and the in breath? When you finish your next out breath, stay in the silence. Stay in the stillness until the next movement, the next in-breath begins. Notice how much movement in the body begins and ends with the breath. On the next inhalation, bring the head back to the center if it had been turned, and then the knees. And change to the other side, wrapping the right leg over the left if that's the option you chose. Arms out level with the shoulders, let the knees drop to the left. Let the head be in the center or turning to the right, looking down your right arm. And on the next inhalation, bring the head to the center first and then bring the knees. And then bring the knees to the chest. Finishing with stirrup pose, happy baby, bug pose. Bring the knees to the chest. Let the knees separate as wide as they will go and the feet as wide as they will go. Lift the head off the floor to begin with. Tuck the chin down. Bring the hands on the outside edges of the feet or the inside edges of the feet. Or remember, if that's a big stretch for you, then just on the back of the thighs. Relay the head on the floor. Draw the tailbone down towards the floor. Imagine the knees are dropping down under the arms. Soles of the feet are flat, parallel to the ceiling, as if you could balance. Something on both feet. And then slowly release, make any other movements you feel you need to, and then coming down and getting a blanket if you need one, so you're not going to get cool in the next few minutes, and final relaxation. Make yourself comfortable. Remember, if there's any tension in the back of the neck, you can put a blanket or a folded towel under the back of the head just to tilt the pelvis forward, tilt the chin forward, make it more comfortable. And beginning with our feet. And with very gentle awareness, experience from the inside out your toes. Experience your toes from the inside out, your heels from the inside out, the soles of the feet from the inside out. And then relax them from the outside in. Relax the toes, the heels, the soles, the skin, the muscle, and the bones. Move your awareness to the hands. With gentle awareness, experience the hands from the inside out. The fingers, the palm, the back. And then relax the hands from the outside in. Relax the skin, relax the muscles, relax the many bones in the hands. And then with the fingers lightly curled, imagine you're holding two balls of light, or two balls of energy, or two balls of chi in the palms of each hand. Be aware of that sensation of feeling that you're holding something there. A tingling, maybe a warmth. And visualize that light, that warmth, spreading from those balls you're holding, balls of light you're holding in your hands, up through your wrists, up through your elbow joints. That stream of light and warmth going through the shoulder joints, into the chest, into the ribs, into the abdomen, through the pelvis, through the legs, and back down to the feet. And then from the feet, visualize that same light and warmth spreading up back from the feet, up through the calves, the knees, the thighs, and resting that warmth, that light, just below the abdomen. In the physical center of the body, and what's also believed in many ancient beliefs to be the center of the energetic body, just below the navel. Now, when we're not taxing the body anyway, use the same awareness, breath awareness, for the next few minutes, cultivating the still points, the quiet points, the pauses between the inhalation and the exhalation, so you become completely aware of the 4 parts to each breath. The inhale, the first part of the breath, the pause at the end of the inhalation. The second, the exhalation, the third part, the pause at the end of the exhalation, the fourth part. And then very slowly coming back and gently closing down if you feel you've opened up a little bit too much. And begin to move the body again. And bit by bit, stretching and moving in a very quiet, gentle way. Find your way onto your side. And then to a seated cross-legged position. As always, it's been a privilege to lead you through your practice. I hope that all the explanations that I gave were clear and made sense. And take care. Namaste.